Hi, I'm totally on time. Be quiet. Don't say anything. Thank you all for showing up early. I'm Aaron of SigBeard. You are all at the Kubernetes 114 release day meeting. Woo! At the bright and shiny time of 8 in the morning on Monday, March 25th. And we're all going to decide whether or not to ship it in a manner that allows us to adhere to the Kubernetes code of conduct. So we'll probably just be really nice to each other and not be jerks while we make this decision and plan what we're going to do. So I thought we could run through everybody's updates, get a go, no go call from everybody, and then talk about what the plan is for today. Does that sound good to everybody? Okay. While we're doing all that, if you would like to sign into the agenda or follow along on the agenda, I just posted a link in the chat. The agenda is usually how I find my way to this meeting, though. So, okay, let's start with Claire.
I'm a go this morning. No changes in enhancements.
Cool. Maria, let's talk about CI signal.
Hello. So we had a couple of jobs failing over the weekend and early this morning. One of them was verify GoDeps and the other was the GC COS 114 serial. There are a couple of issues open that you may want to follow, but I don't think that any of them are anything that we should stop the release over. The serial one was an unfortunate combination of flakes that we know about and are tracking and know that they don't hint at anything worrying. And the verify GoDeps script failed because there was a new version of Go Open API packages that just have not been bumped in KK. That said, there's nothing really new in them, and we have run the previous versions of these dependencies for quite a long time without any failure. So I'm not particularly worried about that one.
Okay. So I will put you down for go. Nico, let's talk about bug triage. Or maybe Marco on behalf of Nico. I don't know.
He's in chat saying all green. He's in another meeting.
Okay. Cool. Amit, you want to talk to us about test infra?
Yeah, it's all go from test infra side. Ship it. This is fine.
Okay. Jim, you want to talk to us about docs?
Yeah, so we're having some issues with the reference doc generation, so like the API and the overall generated layout. So I'm working with some folks on that. It's not a release blocker, so I'd say go. We're ready to go. The bulk of the docs are going to land, and then I'm working right now to resolve that issue.
Do you have a link for that issue?
I don't think I opened one up. I was talking on Slack with Kiming about this, so I can open up an issue and track it there.
That would be helpful.
Yep, no problem.
Thanks. Okay, Lindsey, I think you're here to update us on release notes.
Yep, we have 2 PRs to merge in the release sig repo. One is a draft because it depends on the other one. So once 563 is merged, then I'll make 565 a proper PR, and then both of them should be good to go.
Okay. Do we have Kate or Natasha? You are here. Natasha, how are we looking from a comms perspective this morning?
We're looking really good. We just got an interview request from Mike Fizzard at Container Journal, so I'll be sending that around to you and Claire. and the Windows team to try to take that interview today if you have time. He's okay with doing it tomorrow and just writing a story for later this week as well, so that might be an option. In terms of the blog, Aaron, if you could just quickly look and see if you like the title, and then there was one paragraph that Claire gave a thumbs up to that I just want you to look at. And then from there, I'm just going to proof for grammar, spelling, things like that. And then I'm sending that over to Caitlin to tee up for the Kubernetes website, along with Dave to add the release notes. But everything's looking green. It's all looking amazing. So thank you guys so much for all the press help.
Okay, cool. I dropped an action item for me on that, and I will put your status down as a go. Hannes, how are things looking from a release branch management perspective?
Hey everybody, all seems good to me. I just before staged and released the mock thing. Took about around about 2 hours all in all. Currently we have this one cherry pick open, which Maria talked about regarding the open API something dependency. So I don't think we should bother about that for this release. Maybe push it to 1.14.1. So yeah, from my side, absolutely green go. I have just one question regarding the docs thing and the release notes PRs. I assume we should wait for that if possible with staging.
Yes. Release notes, yes.
Yeah.
So I was going to try and walk us through all that, but so I think the release notes drafts just all got merged in. I would like to take one quick final pass, and then I will give you a thumbs up in Slack.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. Yes, I think I agree on the cherry pick. If that did not impact your ability to cut the release, then we'll just go ahead and cut the release. I believe that GoDep issue is impacting literally all branches of Kubernetes, not just 1.14. Hooray. I love GoDeps. Okay, I will move myself to Go status. Just for everybody's benefit here, I spent the weekend watching Apollo 13 and The Martian and Apollo 11 just to get myself all psyched up for this go no go thing. That was awesome. Thank you, everybody. Living the dream here. We're go for launch. Okay, so what does go for launch mean now? What do we do? I took a quick look through my handbook, as well as a super helpful guide that I wrote as part of 113 that was like a journal for release day. So what I take away from that is, yes, it's very important that we get the release notes draft merged before Hannes pushes the actual button to do a no mock release build. So that will be the very first thing I do after this. Hannes will push the button. I'm unclear on the requirement of the order of operations here, but I think then he can do the no mock publication. And then it sounds like the longest lead time item was getting Googler to build Debian and RPM files. The reasoning from Aisha's release day journal was that apparently because we're like building all of these from scratch for the first time, it took up to 3 hours to happen. And so the way the 113 release team proceeded was to just go ahead and announce the release while those builds were ongoing. I'd love to see if we could start those earlier today, maybe prior to noon Pacific time, to have us on course for 3 p.m. deadline. So, okay, let's say we go ahead and we poke folks at Google to make that happen. But speaking of Hannes, have you been in contact with Sumi about that? Is Sumi your point?
Yes, I talked to him last week, someone, and I just before this meeting, I poked him again and told him there might be something coming up in 2 to 3 hours.
Okay.
So I guess he will come back to me.
Okay. I am not physically there, but I can find people physically there to tap him on the shoulder as well, or see if we need to find somebody else. Okay, so assuming we then kick that process off, I believe Caitlin can go ahead and stage the blog post. We make sure that all looks good. We confirm from Google that we have our RPM and our Debian files. Docs is ready. It basically can push the button to publish everything to Kubernetes website and make sure our docs look live. And then that puts us on track to lift the embargo at 3, post the blog post, and then I get to go brag about us having shipped Kubernetes 1.14 to Kubernetes dev, the sig-release mailing list, and discuss.kates.io. And meanwhile, all of the wonderful authors who have been interviewing myself and Claire and other folks here also get to post their articles at 3 o'clock. Does anybody feel like I have left something out?
So what exact time do you want the docs to land? Is it 2?
2-ish, yeah. I feel like, unless I'm missing something, I feel like docs would be the last order of operations. Once we've made sure like the bits are good to go, then I think it's like flipping docs and flipping the blog post and stuff. So docs would be probably close to 3. I think it comes down, like, maybe help me understand, what do you feel like the lead time is for that process?
Yeah, so not usually a ton of lead time to get that merged in. A lot of the main docs fall in place pretty easily. What we usually find out for the docs release is there's a lot of little minor bits that need to be tweaked, as we roll some of the different versions. Nothing that really affects the actual dropping of the release, but more just housekeeping. So while we can land the bulk in 3 o'clock, I think there might be a little bit of cleanup while we're getting everything out the door.
That's fine. I think that's sort of why I feel like docs should be published ahead of our embargo timeline to give you time to do all of those cleanups and nitpicks and stuff. So, I mean, if you feel like you want to start on that even prior to, I guess maybe I'm thinking out loud here. One of the reasons you might be dependent on the bits landing is making sure you have links to the correct bits. Do you have links to the bits on your docs?
As far as I know, I don't think there's any bits that link directly, but could be surprised.
Okay. So I feel like that's something we can try to hash out on Slack. Meanwhile, when it comes to coordinating on Slack, open question here. Part of me feels like we should just take over the sig-release Slack channel, and that's where we talk about everything that's happening. Another option is I get everybody into a thread in the sig-release Slack channel, and we go that way. The reason I feel like using the channel might be a better option is because some of these questions, that, for example, like Jim just raised, I think sidebarring those discussions off into threads is probably going to be less noisy for coordinating the main, like, how are we looking on release? Okay, no objections. We'll all just figure it out as human beings. I don't know, does that timeline seem reasonable to anybody? I think one thing that I personally haven't thought through a lot is making sure this is okay for folks in European time zones. I am sensitive to the fact that this is probably a longer day for some of you. Anything we can do to help you there? Okay.
Make the machines faster.
Okay, yeah. All right. Everybody understand that checklist? Cool. All right. one last thing. I feel a little weird about this because I still actually haven't gotten 100% confirmation, but I feel like we have earned it. So give me a second. What I'm trying to find is a window without windows you're not supposed to be seeing. Okay, you're probably wondering why I asked you all for your t-shirt sizes. It's because I've been working on getting a release team t-shirt ready for all of you. This actually isn't the final version because like I'm gonna have the release 114 team thing embroidered on the side, but there's that. So I'll have more information about that soon. I think like because this is supposed to be a theme, I'm supposed to name this, and like I mean 3-cat Kubernetes, 3-cat Moon kind of comes to mind, but that doesn't really feel like it's great. So like my current t-shirt is a Cattern t-shirt, so I'm kind of leaning towards like Kubernetes. I'm kind of, you know, I'm open to inputs here. We don't necessarily have to have that locked down to cut the release notes, but for everybody who answered no, I'm gonna be putting together like a Google form or something so I can get mailing addresses. That's still like being worked out. That is a longer lead time thing. So thank you all for your patience there. Hopefully it will be worth it. I know I'm pretty excited. And I think with that, we can call it early. I'm gonna go trundle off to read the release notes super duper quickly, and then start getting really vocal and communicative in the sig-release Slack channel. Okay, cool. Happy Catter Day, everybody.
Woohoo!